All right, man. Washington Commanders at the top of the NFC East right now, sitting at 1-1. The Bengals are 0-2. I'd say kind of to a surprise, kind of not. A lot of people understand that they do start off slow. This game's Monday night, 8:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I see the Bengals are favored by 7.5. Over/under is 48.5. Last week, the Commanders beat my Giants on a last-minute field goal there, man, to beat us 21-18. The Bengals lost to the Chiefs 26-25. Last meeting, the Commanders did beat the Bengals 20-9. That was in 2020. This is the Commanders' first game in Cincinnati since 2008. Now, they did have a matchup in 2016 where the Bengals were the home team, but that was in London. That game ended in a 27-27 tie as well. Washington has a 7-23 record on Monday Night Football. Time to clean that up.
Yeah, at least we're not at home because we get our butts whooped on prime time when we're at home.
Yep. I mean, it does seem like it's a new day here kind of in Washington, but we shall see. Last time that the Commanders played on Monday Night Football, they did win. And they beat the undefeated Philadelphia Eagles 32-21. That was in 2022. I knew that was going to make you feel some kind of way, too.
That was a great night.
Yeah, that was a great night for you. I think the Eagles were 10-0 at that point. The Commanders definitely got to clean up that red zone issue from last week that they had. 0 for 6 in the red zone against the Giants. 5 false start penalties in the red zone. 7 for 7 on their field goals, the most in franchise history. They didn't punt the ball one time in that game. Just got to continue to sustain drives, but, and they did do that against, the New York Giants, but it's time to score some touchdowns. Get back to what you saw in week 1 where they were 3 for 3. The Bengals have struggled to stop the run, too, and we saw that the Commanders definitely ran the ball very effective against the Giants last week. Bengals will be without both their interior defensive linemen in this game, from what I'm hearing. Hamstring injuries just going across the league like a plague right now. Former New York Giant defensive tackle B.J. Hill is likely to not play in this one, and D-tackle Sheldon Rankins is likely to not play in this one as well. The Bengals are allowing 159.5 rushing yards per game. That's 26th in the NFL right now. And the Commanders just put up 215 on the ground against the New York Giants last week. Led by Brian Robinson, 133 yards, 7.8 yards per carry. His first 100-yard game, which to me screams that the Washington Commanders, Washington football team, Washington Redskins, whatever you want to call them, we saw in the stadium, they were still calling them the Redskins. There's been a utilization issue with Brian Robinson. It just makes no sense that he has not had a 100-yard game. And I think, secondly, they have to get Terry McLaurin involved in the game plan. He's got just 12 targets on the season, 8 receptions for 39 yards. Definitely keep Jayden Daniels upright. I thought they did a pretty decent job of it, and Jayden Daniels was getting the ball out quickly. I did get a chance to see the quarterback school today and breaking down the all-22 from that game. I heard a couple of people saying that Daniel Jones outplayed Jayden Daniels last week, and when I saw that all-22, I'm definitely not feeling that kind of way, man. He definitely had a good game getting the ball out quick, and I also hear people throwing shots at Cliff Kingsbury, for his scheme, and things look pretty good for what they're putting around a rookie quarterback over there. I would definitely keep your eyes on Trey Hendrickson. He had 2 sacks last week on the best quarterback in the entire NFL, Patrick Mahomes. So definitely keep your eyes on that. And then just don't let the Bengals get their running backs going, because right now thus far in the season, 2 weeks, they've struggled to run the ball. They're 30th in the NFL, 72 yards a game on the ground. And Zach Moss and Chase Brown trying to supplement for what Joe Mixon brought to that offense. They really haven't been able to do that just yet. Last week, they only had 65 yards combined in that game. So I think those are some of the factors that we can look for in this game where, maybe the Washington Commanders can stay in this game and not get too far behind on the scoreboard to give themselves a shot in the fourth quarter to win this game.
Yeah, it's an interesting matchup. Everything that we go moving forward every week, there's going to be a wide receiver that's spotlighted against Washington's defense until, they can find a way. If they can find a way, we just might not have the personnel to match up with a lot of these receivers. So Jamar Chase is probably going to eat. T. Higgins practiced, so I'm expecting him to probably play. He might be like in a limited role. But a limited role against this secondary is probably a top 5 fantasy production output. Listen, touchdowns, not field goals. That's going to be most important. I talked about the New Orleans Saints, their possession is scoring percentage. Washington actually has the 3rd best scoring percentage in the NFL through the first 2 weeks at 58.8%. So they are scoring.
Does that include field goals?
It does include field goals.
Yeah, makes sense.
So that's why I prefaced it with touchdowns, not field goals, because if you're going to be able to score on all these possessions, eventually you're going to come across teams that aren't the New York Giants, and you're going to need to score touchdowns. So
Thanks.
just a little chat. You know, I'm used to getting the cat from you, so you know, let me throw a few when I get a chance to. I'll tell you what's really good. All of the shade that Jayden Daniels is getting. Oh, he's not finding McLaurin, and he's missing wide open guys, and you know he's tucking the ball and running too much. We are one of only 3 teams in the National Football League to not turn the ball over yet. Okay?
Yo, that's a nugget right there.
So I'm just saying, you know, like, yeah, he might not be perfect, but listen, as a rookie quarterback to have as much, you know, throws and runs and all this stuff that he's done so far to not turn the ball over is super important. And our running backs, they're running the ball a lot more and they're not fumbling. So
that's for the turnover.
That's a knock on wood. Yeah, trust me. As I was writing the note, I was knocking on wood. Now, listen. You talked about Cincinnati's rush defense, and they are allowing the 7th most yards, as you stated. Washington has the 6th best rushing offense in the National Football League. God, it feels so good. We are averaging 176.5 yards per game on the ground.
I mean, 215 versus my Giants. You know, hey, you know, you want to get rushing yards, you want to score points, come to New York. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is.
Listen, I'm listen. If you want a wide receiver 1 to go for 100, you know, get 18 targets, come to Washington. We got you, okay? So that's where it's at, and the time of possession is so critical. And what's really interesting about these drives and having such a high scoring percentage on your drives, albeit field goals at this time, and the best way to prevent your horrible defense from being on the field is to control the time of possession, okay? Washington is averaging the longest amount of time per drive in the National Football League.
Y'all racked up against us, bro. I can't wait till these stats just start to level back out. It's like, dog.
3 minutes and 45 seconds per drive. Like that is, I mean, that's gold right there. That's not a lot of 3 and outs, you know what I'm saying? And that's what's super important. Now to the negatives, okay? Washington, and I'm setting all this up for the roadmap. Washington's defense. We did play the New York Giants, okay? We've allowed the most passing touchdowns in the National Football League, okay? We're allowing the highest yards per attempt in the National Football League, 8.1 yards per attempt on us, okay?
Do you have tied the numbers on the touchdowns, how many it is?
I think it's like Daniel Jones had 2
versus us, and how many
3
versus the Bucs?
You guys had Daniel Jones only had 2 passing touchdowns.
But we had 3 in the game though.
Only passing touchdowns.
Got you. So 2, and then Baker.
So 6. We've allowed 6. Yeah, Baker had 4. So we've allowed 6 passing touchdowns. I wanted to see if it eclipsed
the number 1 spot for passing touchdowns by a quarterback, which is 5. So it's more than that. That's not good. Yeah.
No, not good at all. And then we're tied for the fewest amount of sacks in the National Football League. And last but certainly not least, before we buckle up for this roadmap, we have the worst 3rd down defense in the NFL. And it's bad. It's bad. We are allowing our opponents to convert on 3rd down 61.9% of the time.
I thought it was going to be a little worse. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it can't get much worse than that. That's pretty bad, man.
Pretty terrible.
So that's the negative side of it. And you really are just relying on your offense through time of possession and the running game to carry this piss poor defense that we have here in Washington right now. But all of that is just kind of a foundation for the roadmap to victory. Are you ready? Buckle up.
Yeah, you're getting on the freeway. What? No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get in position. Just get out the lane.
That's when you know it's going to be a bumpy ride, when you got to grab the seatbelt with 2 hands, okay?
Yeah,
ladies and gentlemen,
that celebration.
This is the officially sponsored by Waze roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders. First up, if you want to win this game, you must win the time of possession. That is a must. You have to win the time of possession. Up next, continue the streak of clean football. 0 turnovers. Let's see if we can go 3 weeks without turning the ball over. And while you're doing that, you got to find a way to turn the ball over for the Cincinnati Bengals. If you cannot force a turnover, they're going to just score points. So you got to stop them at least once or twice in order for us to have a chance to win this game. Third down percentage has to be below 50% on the defensive side of the ball. Up next, simple, more touchdowns than field goals. That's all I asked for. More touchdowns than field goals. And we're going to continue the RTDB, ladies and gentlemen.
Facts.
Run the damn ball. I need at least 150 yards rushing on the ground as a team total. And last but certainly not least, get some damn pressure on the quarterback. I want more sacks in this game than we have all year, which is 2. I'm expecting 3 sacks from the Washington Commanders defense. That is your roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders.
I like it. Very reasonable too. Reasonable. Very
Nothing
reasonable.
crazy.
Nothing too outlandish.
Yeah. But all that being said, I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game 27-24.
All right, so before we move on, I got 2 quick little fantasy sleepers.
Ooh.
Mike Gesicki last week definitely went off. He was the leading pass catcher in week 2, 7 receptions, 91 yards. I don't know if you've been keeping your eyes on the free agent signings in our fantasy league. I scooped him up. And then another guy that might get some of his targets taken away from him, Andre Yosivas. I went and I watched this dude's highlight tape. This dude played wide receiver at Princeton. He was kicking ass versus Harvard, Yale, and Cornell. All right? He had 2 touchdowns last week. All right? You might want to scoop him up. Ain't nobody even thinking about this dude right now. I might throw him in the lineup against the Commanders. The Commanders got one of the worst secondaries in the entire NFL. I really want to pick y'all. If the Bengals were not 0-2 and they started off very slow on offense the way that they have this entire year so far, and maybe if this game was in Washington, I think I would have chose y'all. But I think that Joe Burrow is too good of a quarterback to go up against this particular secondary and not see success. I'm going to take the Cincinnati Bengals. Let me see. Baker and them Bucks really, really blew the socks off of y'all. I'm going to go 31. Jayden Daniels going to do a little something. Let's go 31-21 in favor of the Cincinnati Bengals.
Not too bad. Not too bad. I can live with that one.
You can live with that, right? Y'all scored 21 points, lose a game. You blame it on the defense. You thought the defense was going to be bad all year. It makes sense, right?
Absolutely.